Welcome to the Dream Big Dare Greatly Summit Season 2. My name is Alexandra Deubner. I'm a career success and personal leadership coach from Austria, and I'm hosting this show to help you find the courage, motivation, and inspiration to courageously start creating a life you truly love, because I so believe it's possible for you. And today's special guest is Naomi Aldort. Welcome, Naomi.
Thank you for having me.
It's a true pleasure to have you, dear. Let me quickly introduce you. You are actually a renowned parenting guide who empowers families through Zoom sessions, workshops, and retreats worldwide. You're also the author of Raising Our Children, Raising Ourselves, which was published in 20 languages. This is really impressive. And your approach is not about controlling children gently, but about fostering peace, trust, and self-motivation so they thrive out of their own free will. And through your self-communication formula, you help parents navigate challenges like tantrums, defiance, sibling dynamics, and so on. And at the same time, you're strengthening family relationships. And you emphasize holistic parenting, addressing emotional well-being, lifestyle, and diet to support a child's development, health, and learning. And last but not least, at the core of your work is a deep belief in returning to love, trusting oneself, and raising resilient, self-assured children who are the authors of their own lives. I so love this. I want to hear it all, Naomi. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Let us dive right in. Just can you give us, I tried to introduce you as best as I could, just a gist of how you got to where you are today, Naomi?
Well, I got the backward way by surrendering to life.
Mhm.
Surrendering to life rather than pursuing anything. I was going to be a singer and then a piano teacher. My family is musical, so everybody's in
Mhm.
music. But as a piano teacher, but I always was interested in child psychology and
Mhm.
studied on my own a lot about it. So at some point, parents of students of mine told me that the students are getting therapy out of the lessons, and
Mhm.
they asked me to give them therapy.
Mhm.
So it kind of evolves that way. And then I had my own children and I started writing articles. My first article was published in the very highly internationally revered Mothering magazine, which is
Mhm.
the Accept one in 2000. So it was, I thought, just a beginner's luck. But no, my articles kept being accepted and I was invited to speak. And then a woman called me by phone to ask for advice, and she called every week. And
Mhm.
after 9 such events, she said to me, "You should charge me, Naomi."
Cool.
We work. So that's, from step to step, that's how it evolved. And there's another book on the way, by the way, in the hands of the publisher. It'll be a year before it's out, but it's specifically about babies and toddlers.
Oh,
And
great.
more in the making. One I'm working on right now about how to raise children who are not triggered and
Mhm.
not be triggered yourself.
Mhm.
And another one, how to be who you want to be as a parent, which is
Mhm.
the main obstacle. You know,
Beautiful. Yes, exactly. So,
we know all the good stuff, but then we can't do it because of our own emotional stuff. So.
yes, exactly. And before we come to the children, what would you say, Naomi? How can we improve couple communication for peace and authentic connection?
Okay, so number one is no defense. The main problem with couples is they say, "No, I didn't." It's right away, no, something, whatever. You are this and that. No, I'm not. You did this and that, or you didn't do this and that. Yes, I did. It's like immediate negation
Mhm.
destroys relationship.
Mhm.
It means you're not hearing the other person. Their experience was that you didn't, or
Mhm.
that you did, or whatever it is.
Mhm.
But in terms of specific rules, I tell parents, number one, make an appointment to talk.
Mhm.
Don't barge into the kitchen while your wife or husband or partner is busy doing something and says, by the way you behaved yesterday, or we need to talk about this, and start talking.
Mhm.
You're catching a person who is not ready, not available, and is going to be triggered.
Mhm.
So make an appointment. When can we talk? I need to talk to you about this.
Mhm.
When would be a good time?
Mhm.
And when there is a good time, I teach couples how to actually listen.
Mhm.
And to listen means you don't say a word. Zip your mouth in
Mm-hmm.
terms of you and open your mouth in terms of validating the other person, confirming that you heard what they said. So you experienced XYZ. It doesn't have to match what you felt in the moment or what you think. In fact, I teach people to break it for the person who is talking to wait after each subject or even phrase, if it's a single phrase, a single item, for the other person to confirm they heard you.
Mm-hmm.
Because in reality, no two people ever met. Like that's what Byron Katie says, and she's right. Everybody have their perception. So whatever happened to your partner, it's true for them. That was
Mm-hmm.
their experience. It gives you feedback that even though you meant something totally different, or you didn't, or you did, or all the righteousness in the background, this is what happened to your partner.
Mm-hmm.
If you compare your stories from your childhood to what your parents remember, you will see that it never meet.
Mm-hmm.
Rarely.
Mm-hmm.
You're upset because your parents used to do this and that, and you check with them and they go like, "What?
Mm-hmm.
Did I? When? Give me example." Oh, no, but that's not what happened. And that's true in the present too. So listening to the person and the session, the person who asked, made the appointment is the one talking.
Mm-hmm.
The other person doesn't need to talk at all. If they must, they need to make either another appointment, or if there's plenty of time, the kids aren't around, etc., they can ask gently, "Would you like to hear what my experience was?"
Mm-hmm.
And then the switch turns.
Mm-hmm.
This way, there's no war.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I do with couples is, and I do that in sessions, it's hard for couples to do this on their own, but I'll still describe it. I do the work of Byron Katie for couples.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, you write all your judgments based on 6
Mm-hmm.
questions that I give you that Byron Katie came up with. And you read it first to the partner. And when you read it to the partner, the exercise for the partner is to always no defense, to always hear it and
Mm-hmm.
find the truth in it. It's very rigid. The partner has to say thank you, that's first, because they're getting feedback about how they appear, even if that's not what they mean, and blah, 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 and all
Mm-hmm.
the self-righteousness that causes the wars.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, thank you. Thank you for letting me know what you feel, and thank you. And yes, I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
And in most cases, we can see that if we silence the mind, it's
Mm-hmm.
meditative. It's like, oh, I can see how that's true. Very, very rarely one says something that you can't see.
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't say no and you go into defense. No, you just say, I can't find it yet. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll keep looking.
Mm-hmm.
So you make sure your mind learns to stay open.
Mm-hmm.
So, but always ask permission
Mm-hmm.
in the dialogue to have you, and otherwise don't say it. And if you do a session with someone like me or with a friend that knows to do the work of Byron Katie, you do the full worksheet and you start by listening to each other. And then a facilitator like myself will then do the worksheet and the whole work, the 4 questions, and turn around about each sentence. And your partner is hearing it and saying nothing, just learning as you're going through discovering where you deluded yourself and where you have the truth.
Beautiful. That's really
Yeah,
beautiful because it's all about being open to listen and to
yeah,
acknowledge the other, right? And not just because very often in our mind we're already in the defense mode, like before even the other person has finished the sentence, right? We're like, no, 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 that didn't happen, and blah blah blah, and then there's a quarrel starts. So I love
exactly.
this. Yeah, beautiful.
And it's so magical when we let go of that
Mhm.
defense. It's absolutely
Mhm.
beautiful. Uh, and the ability to actually hear the other person and be focused on them. What gets in the way is the ego.
Yeah.
but I'm right and I
Mhm.
have to be right. When
Mhm.
we let go of needing to be right, the world is love and peace. And
Yeah.
everything that happens happens for me, not to me. It's like,
Mhm.
oh my goodness.
Mhm.
Every voice, the criticism my spouse has for me, or the banker, or the working partner, or whoever, whatever anybody, a stranger on the street says to me, is a gift.
Mhm.
If you're religious, the word of God. If you're not religious, I'm not. It's just a gift,
Mhm.
gratitude. Here is somebody who told you something. You may not see the beauty in it or the
Mhm.
gift in it right away, but meditate,
Mhm.
sit with it. Because
Yeah.
defense is war. You
Absolutely.
know,
A coach. Yeah,
no.
a coach once told me you can be right or you can be free, and it's so true. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I often say you can be right or you can be happy.
Yeah.
Same thing, because free is happy.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
Beautiful.
yeah, all wars in couples and in nations
Mhm.
come from wanting to be right and
Yeah,
dominate and
absolutely.
avoid being dominated.
Yes.
So when you let go of all of that, when you work on your inner peace and freedom and truth,
Mhm. Yeah.
you don't need to do that. And then you're not a reaction machine. You can actually listen to the other person about them.
Mm. Yeah, beautiful. And we all want to be heard. So that brings me to the next question. How can we actually raise emotionally resilient children into powerful and self-directed adults, Naomi?
You want me to read to you the whole next book?
No, just give me the gist of it, okay?
Ah, that's a lot. So yeah, read my books,
Mhm.
an article. But the thing is, for the child to be self-directed, he has to practice self-direction from day one, and I mean from infant,
Mhm.
from the beginning. He wants to nurse, nurse him. He doesn't want to nurse, don't nurse him. Don't force,
Mhm.
nursing at specific times. He wants to sleep, he'll fall asleep. He doesn't want to sleep, don't force him because he's learning war. He's learning that sleep is a struggle and
Mhm.
that he can't trust or she can't trust her own body. He wants to sleep with you.
Mhm.
Let her, it's her decision. It's a typical one that parents often ask me, like they think it'll do the opposite. How will he be self-directed or independent if he doesn't learn to sleep by himself?
Mhm.
And I say it's the other way around. When she sleeps where she wants to, she's learning to be self-directed,
Mhm.
to listen to herself
Mhm.
and choose, I want to sleep with my mom. That's
Mhm.
an independent choice.
Mhm.
That's self-reliance.
Mhm.
Same with play. Let them do the play they want, provide opportunities that fit their age. And the leadership is the providing the setup
Mhm.
in a way that works for that given age, and then you can give autonomy.
Mhm.
So it's all about self-direction. It goes all the way to teenagers, become much more difficult with teenagers.
Mhm.
But if you give them autonomy at 3 months and at 2 years, then they wouldn't have a need to rebel when they're teenagers. They will feel autonomous
Mhm.
and stay connected to you and trusting you and asking for your guidance
Mhm.
and will be much safer for them than having a memory of struggle with mommy and daddy about sleep or about homework or about who I go out with and who are my friends or what games I play. And I don't mean permissiveness. People
Mhm.
often misunderstand this.
Mhm.
It's not about that they can do whatever they want. No, you're still the leader, but lead by creating the environment, providing the toys, the activities that enhances and makes it possible for the child to
Mhm.
build self-reliance and to feel themselves autonomous.
Mhm, mhm. I love this. And what comes up for me is probably all the parents that are watching now and say, "Oh my God, my child isn't a toddler anymore. What do I do now? What advice would you give kids or parents whose kids are now, whatever, starting 10, 8, 10 upwards, right?"
It's the same thing. You're still the leader, but not the controller. Don't be their boss.
Mhm, mhm,
So it's not about telling them what to do or choosing the instrument they're going to play for them or choosing that they should do music or dance or sports. It's about exposing them to the different things and letting them try different things and let them quit them when they want to quit. And when they fight, I have a whole subject, we're not going to get into it today, siblings, but there are lots of interviews of mine that I talk about siblings and how to bring peace to that relationship. But allowing them to relate and sometimes being a facilitator of peace, but not an interrupter. It's like the same as what I say with the baby. Some people interrupt a 1 year old or a 2 years old from doing what they're doing because they say, oh, you're tired, let's go to sleep. Or you're hungry, let's go eat. Or enough of this for whatever reason. You had enough, you're frustrated. Let the child decide. And then they'll be a self-reliant, powerful person who listens inside.
Beautiful. And what would you say are accepted parenting practices talking about that, right? That actually weaken the child's exuberance and self-reliance. And are there any other tools that we can do instead? Other things that we can do instead?
All right, so that's a long one too, because it's almost opposite of everything I said before, right? So the mistakes we make, and again, it's with best of intentions and it's the mainstream narrative. We interrupt for the sake of routine, for the sake of what we think is right, for the sake of we think the child is a little frustrated and they shouldn't be. And sometimes it's true and sometimes it isn't. But I trust the child. If they're too frustrated, they will stop doing this thing. I mean, I can say to them, if you don't like doing that anymore, that's fine. You don't have to, just to support them, but nothing else. So there is a lot of bossing the child around. I hear parents in the mainstream constantly do this, do that, stop this, stop that. And yeah, we have to be leaders. Some things are not for the young child. No, you can't have that. Or even for the teenager or the 10 years old. No, you can't have a gadget all for yourself and spend the whole day on it. So there are things. I'm not saying that we have to relinquish our leadership. We are leaders, but we need to set it up so it's not a struggle, so we don't have to boss them around. So again, sleep and food. Praise is one of the most manipulative ways that take freedom away because it manipulates the child to fear not being praised and to want to please us. So I have through 4 articles on praise on my website. Why not to praise? One is called Getting Out of the Way. That was published in Mothering Magazine originally. And one is a set of 3 articles called The Price of Praise. And it's the same on the other hand. Timeout, punishment. A timeout is punishment because it's imposed. It's not happening. Natural consequences are not natural if you're the one instilling them. Natural consequence of a teenager not washing the dishes is that the dishes are not washed, not that he can't go out with his friends, right? That's an imposed, so it's a punishment. If the child is afraid of scolding, getting in trouble, or is afraid that he wouldn't please you and that you wouldn't love them or approve of them, the seeking approval is quite a disease in humanity today. Everybody wants everybody to like them, and we don't have to indoctrinate children into needing that constant approval on how they look and how they behave and did they get the best grade and study what you like and do minimum for what you don't like, so that you don't have to have a good grade in everything or to pass every audition or test. And then there is another whole domain that we weaken children and make them more easily triggered. We pamper their comfort, temperature, we dress them up beyond what they need to be warm all the time. Let them decide. Have the coat with you. Let them decide if they need it. They want to go barefoot, that's really healthy for them. Let them do it. Let them get hurt a little bit. It's fine. Life doesn't have to be easy all the time. You don't have to distract them. Temperature doesn't have to be comfortable. They can be hungry a little bit before they actually eat. They don't. Food isn't entertainment. Don't constantly pamper here. I'll give you this so that you have a good taste in your mouth, and then you don't complain about your friend not playing with you. Don't fix everything. Don't distract from reality. Your friend isn't playing with you. I'll play with you. Or what would you like to do instead? Don't fix issues. I have an example that I give in many talks and interviews about a child coming that happened here. We have a lot of children here, often because families come to study with me. They used to play with my children. One child comes out and say that they told me to leave. They won't play with me. And then parents normally would like to go back to the room and tell them to be inclusive and to, and fix the situation. And you're teaching the child to be a victim and to change reality out there. That doesn't work in life. We can't change the other. And then the marriages fall apart because we try to change the other. Don't fix the issue. So what I said to the child who came out was a girl and said they won't play with me. I said, first I validate the feelings because she looked upset. And I said, it looks like you really, are you sad because you wanted to play with them? Yeah, I really want to play with them. And, I let her express her feelings. And then I said, okay, so now what would you like to do instead? Would you like to go out and be with your mother? Would you like me to read you a book? Would you like to sit here and draw while I'm talking to your mother or while I cook or whatever? So I don't fix the issue, but look future. What's next? Okay, reality is this. It's like you don't fix the tsunami, you don't fix the rain. It's raining, so we're not going to the beach or we're taking umbrellas or whatever we have to do in response to reality. We don't talk up there and say, stop the rain, and get upset and have a tantrum. And the other thing, so we rescue children from hardship. And also, a lot of parents like to help their children even in playing. They give them puzzles and they help them. They give them crayons and paper and they help them draw. And then the child becomes dependent and say, I can't draw, mommy, you have to draw this for me. But you can't draw for another person any more than you can breathe for another person, or eat for another person, or feel for another person. They're them. Your drawing is yours. So I often tell parents, don't help. If they can't do something, maybe that toy is too difficult. Get them things that make them feel good about themselves by making them a little challenging, but not so much that they can't do it. So that's the sum of the many things.
Yeah, no, it's super interesting, Naomi. And what came up for me because regarding also giving, feedback to the kid, right? What would you then say if your child came home from school and had really good grades, or had an exam and was really happy that he or she had really good grades? How would you then react in a good way, right?
In a good way, I would just be happy that they're happy. And I would tell them that I couldn't care less what the grades are. I actually would say that because it's important to release them. And I'll tell you a little story about that because my youngest son won every competition uh, um, all the way to national, 3, 4 levels in music on playing cello. And on the way to one of the national ones in Toronto that he won, but on the way, I said to him on the airplane, I don't care if you win, right? I wanted to be sure. And that's why I say, tell them you don't care about their grades. That's their thing, you know? And so when I said it to him, I was delighted with his answer because he was fed up with me. He was like, yes, mom, I know, I know. And then when we came to the hotel, the event is like it's very scary. It's very stiff. It's like America Got Talent or on steroids in terms of there is no laughter, there is no nice talk that like in America Got Talent or Britain or whatever. It's the judges are in the front, the big audience, full house is in the back, stage, and you're accompanied by a pianist you never met before. You had one rehearsal with them, and you're playing an hour of material or in half an hour of like top notch, advanced, just like professionals. And those 3 judges or 4 judges sitting in the front saying nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You'll only know at the end if you want or not, if you want or not. They're writing notes. There's no nice conversation or anything. So I asked my son, when you go on that stage, what's your state of mind? How do you go there? It seems so scary to me. I wouldn't want to do it. I couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I play piano and I sing. I know music and I've been on stage doing music, but I couldn't do this. And he said to me, Mom, I go on to win, and whatever happens is fine with me.
Wow. Cool.
Isn't that amazing? So
Yeah,
that's
totally.
the result of me not being invested
Mm-hmm.
in what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's your thing. You want to quit it, you can quit it. When they
Mm-hmm.
started instruments, two of my kids are musical prodigies. When they started instruments, I told them, I'll take you to the lessons, I'll write notes, practice daily, go to the lessons, do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want to do it anymore, just tell me, we'll quit the lessons. You need to change teachers, we'll change the teachers. You need to change the instrument, we'll change the instrument. It's your commitment, your thing. I'll be there for you, and then you let me know what you want next.
Beautiful.
And they're both professional musicians at the
Mm-hmm.
of the highest level.
How beautiful, how beautiful. And I think it's quite rare, right? Because usually there's lots of pressure from parents.
Yes.
And I love that you do it just the opposite and it worked out fine. And so that brings me, my summit is called Dream Big Dare Greatly, but I was wondering in our case here, do you have something like a vision board or something that you created as the whole for the whole family where you said, okay, this is kind of our goal for whatever or our family motto or something like that? Did you create something like that for your family?
No, but we did family meetings about
Mm-hmm.
issues that would come up,
Mm-hmm.
and the kids would run it. They had the
Cool.
president and the secretary and writing notes and making conclusions. So they had, they were in charge.
Mm-hmm.
We taught them how to do a meeting and how to
Mm-hmm.
vote and how to have consensus. And they would come up with great solutions to things and try them for a while and then have another meeting to change them if they didn't like
Mm-hmm.
them.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
So, like they came with a rule with piano. Piano is a single item. With
Mm-hmm.
toys, we try to provide only natural and only many items,
Mm-hmm.
blocks, stuff like that, crayons. Uh, I mean, they had some board games and some single toys eventually, but we tried to minimize that.
Mm-hmm.
So when it came to the piano, the two children who used it a lot, they all played some piano, would be on the piano, and let's say they go to the bathroom, the other child comes and take over.
Mm-hmm.
They needed solution for that, and they came up with a perfect solution. If you're only going for a glass of water, eat something, and you mean to keep playing, you say so, or you put a sign.
Mm-hmm.
They wrote a sign and put it on the piano. Oliver still using it, or Leonard
Mm-hmm.
still using. And they respected that because they owned it. It
Mm-hmm.
was their own idea. So we discussed things. It's not
Mm-hmm.
like we didn't have core values that we worked with,
Mm-hmm.
but we didn't create a board with those values written on them. But that could be for another family something to do. I'm not against anything.
Mm-hmm. And how often did you actually do these family meetings, Naomi?
Sometimes not at all for years and
Mm-hmm.
as needed.
Mm-hmm.
So, the first time I suggested it, all the children were at an age that they could participate already.
Mm-hmm.
But if I have three boys, so with three, if the young one was still only 2 years old and couldn't really participate, that's fine. So the four of us
Mm-hmm.
discuss things, and the
Mm-hmm.
young one is just there,
Mm-hmm.
right? But we started when the youngest was already 4 or 5 or
Mm-hmm.
something like
Mm-hmm.
that. So,
How cool.
or even older,
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, it because until they're older, most of the time the leadership takes
Mm-hmm.
care of things. We
Yes.
set up the house so it's baby safe. We
Mm-hmm.
set up the house that there's no, distractions or in
Mm-hmm.
today's world, gadgets,
Yeah. What do
out of sight, etc.
And that's actually something before we come to the last question. Actually, this is something I think that resonates with many people, and that's why I'm asking it now spontaneously. What advice do you have with mobile phones, right? How can parents limit their access? What can we do to not fight?
Just don't give it to children.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I recommend to read Jonathan Haidt, Haidt,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
book.
Mm-hmm.
And there's Dr. Amen
Mm-hmm.
also wrote a
Mm-hmm.
book, I think, about the subject.
Mm-hmm.
And the bottom line of the book is it is the cause of higher suicide in now young adults and teenagers, high anxiety, depression,
Mm-hmm.
disconnection. They don't know to get
Mm-hmm.
physically in the world. And it takes time away from what nurtures the soul and the body, being out there, being in the sun, being barefoot, climbing trees, being with friends physically,
Mm-hmm.
touching other human beings. Um, so it's a whole book. So read
Yeah.
the book. I can't
No,
summarize the
no,
whole
but it's.
but it definitely, I find that the parents who are most successful about the subject is those black and white,
Mm-hmm.
no gadgets.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep their own gadgets out of sight, out of children's hands. And then when they start needing them in the preteen, teen, just, do your homework or we're
Mm-hmm.
watching something together and then it goes away.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they use the parents' gadgets,
Mm-hmm.
eventually their own, but responsibly.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't give them
Mm-hmm.
phones and stuff before age 16, 17. It's the formative years, it
Mm-hmm.
harms even adults. It's like,
Mm-hmm. True.
and it
Mm-hmm.
harms the eyes too.
Mm-hmm.
Glasses are now an epidemic. There's hardly a
Yes.
human being that doesn't wear glasses. I'm 75
Mm-hmm.
and I'm without glasses.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in a generation where out the eyes go close, far,
Mm-hmm.
looking far a lot. But our kids are like this
Mm-hmm.
so many hours a day
True.
and it ruins their eyes. It's bad radiation, and it's mentally
Mm-hmm.
really confusing and
Yes.
addictive. Very, very,
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Cool.
So
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that feedback. And before we come to the free gift, do you have any quick final advice for our audience?
quick advice for audience. Let me think.
Mm-hmm.
Well, work on yourself. The
Mm-hmm.
name of my first book is Raising Our Children, Raising Ourselves. A newer book will go even deeper into
Mm-hmm.
that. And in my sessions, when people come to me on Zoom for sessions, I work with them on gaining the confidence to not be reactive, which is
Mm-hmm.
being triggered, which is about you, not about the child. You're
Mm-hmm.
triggered, your emotions, what happened to you as a child, what strategies the mind is
Mm-hmm.
automated with. So learn to take a breath and to read my book and look what to do in a little silence inside yourself before you respond. So your
Mm-hmm.
response is about your child, is about, that's what I mean by return to love.
Mm-hmm.
Be consistent, not with rules, not with punishments, but with love. Excuse
Mm-hmm.
me,
No worries.
son, calling
Mm-hmm.
me.
All
Uh,
good.
and and be consistent with love. That's the only thing worth being consistent with.
Mm-hmm.
What's the loving response to my child doing
Mm-hmm.
this and this? Even when they do the worst thing,
Mm-hmm.
they are out of control for a valid reason. You need to help them, not punish them.
Mm-hmm.
Respond is like, nature is a great teacher.
Mm-hmm.
When there is rain, we respond. We don't react, like I
Mm-hmm.
said before. We
Mm-hmm.
stay home or we take an umbrella or a raincoat. If the tsunami comes, we don't get angry at the tsunami.
Mm-hmm.
We collect our kids and go up the hill as fast as we can,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's this that we forget that human beings are like the tsunami. It's the
Mm-hmm.
same thing,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
just in communication and everything. The other person is who they are. Dogs don't meow and snakes don't bark. It's who they are. How can I respond to this person?
Mm-hmm.
How they are from compassion, from understanding what's going on for them,
Mm-hmm.
so that you understand. And animals are a good example, and accept what reality is, like with the tsunami, respond to it, like what can I do next?
Yes.
What's the loving thing to do to
Mhm.
make this better?
Mhm. Beautiful. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Naomi. And you also have a free gift for audience. You kind of mentioned it before, right?
Well, I do a lot of interviews. They all ask for free gift, and then I can spend half an hour find the perfect one thing to read or to listen to. So now I don't spend that time doing that. Just go on my website. There are free articles. There are free videos of other interviews, of portions of seminars and workshops and my speaking events. And eventually I'll please give me the recording when we're done with the event, and I'll put that on YouTube and with a link to my website. I've been neglecting that, so few of recent interviews are not on. And
Mhm.
I was just thinking about it this morning that I have to get back on it
Mhm.
and collect that. But there is plenty of free stuff. And book yourself a session to ask questions
Mhm. Yeah.
and book it on the because a lot of parents are trying to figure it out just by reading and seeing interviews, etc. For the most, human beings are so unique.
Mhm.
What's happening between you and your child at the end is not going to necessarily resolve itself just by you learning all these
Mhm.
things.
Mhm.
Book yourself a session. I have parents who take sessions for years, every week. They have a lot of children, more children come, more dynamic exchange. They just talk to me every week. Not everyone can afford it,
Mhm.
but it's like you can take 1 or 2 sessions, ask some questions, get some guidance.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
very easy to get on. And if you can't afford it, also, ask grandma for a gift to pay for a session. People do that. They,
Yeah.
I have
Okay.
families where they give each other. So that's another wonderful way to get my help directly.
Beautiful. So thank you, Naomi, for your time. Thank you also for your free gift for the free videos and articles and so on your website. And I hope that everyone got a lot out of this interview today. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to Naomi. And yeah, I thank you, Naomi, for your time today and your
Oh,
wisdom.
thank you. I appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I hope everyone really got a lot out of this. And I can't wait to see you tomorrow again for another episode of the Dream Big, the Greatly Summit. Take good care of yourself. Take good care of your children. One of my biggest and most fun takeaways was dogs don't meow. I have to say I love this. It makes so much sense. Yeah. Thank you so much. All the best and have a beautiful day.